So 2 exits, 200 plus startups that I've worked with, and 500 plus interviews with founders, CEOs, and presidents of some of these incredible companies. So the question today is, who wants to learn from me? And if not from me, then maybe sort of pull out some wisdom from some of the incredible business leaders that I've spoken to over my career. Thank you. And you know what? Benny gave me 30 minutes, so you don't have a choice. You're going to get some information anyways. So who thinks any of these businesses were built overnight? Any of the businesses that I've built, any of the businesses, some of those logos, they weren't. They weren't built overnight. Who thinks that any of these founders that started these businesses were smarter than you? Because they weren't. Now, then why are we all guilty of giving up too early? We reinvent the wheel and we beat ourselves up over every single thing that goes wrong. Because we've all done it. I've done it 1,000 times. I know you didn't really see the first slide and I didn't go into it, but I said 2 exits, 200 startups, 500 interviews, and countless amounts of failures later. So why do we fail? The title of this segment was How to Guarantee Success. So what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the antidote to all of these things. The antidote that will stop us from giving up too early, stop us from trying to figure everything out ourselves, stop us from reinventing the wheel every single time we try and build something. These are the 3 rules that I have found across my own experience, across all the people that I've interviewed, all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, that are the most impactful rules for business that will take you to the next level, that will reframe not just your mindset, but give you actionable next steps in whatever it is you're building. The first rule is the 10-year rule. The second is reverse engineering success. And the third is the concept of delusional self-confidence. So let's kick it off with the first rule, the 10-year rule. At a very high level, the 10-year rule, my thesis is, that I've seen proven out time and time again, is if you want to build anything worth building, you have to find a way to stay in the game mentally for up to 10 years. That is the milestone of the KPI that I want you to target. Why is that important? It does a few things. First of all, it sets expectations as to what you actually have to accomplish and where you have to go. If you think this is going to be a 3-month or a 6-month thing, you're kidding yourself. It's not. So I'm not saying that this is 10 years of doing nothing but trying the same thing that's not working again and again and again and again. I'm saying 10 years of iterating and improving and ideating and understanding what's working and what's not. But the goal is you're setting yourself mentally to say, I'm going to try and build this thing for 10 years. Now, that may seem like a lot of time for some people, but I want to give you some perspective. So I said, if you kick it at 90, which is a good life, let's just, not everyone's going to live to 150, so let's do 90. If you kick it at 90, 10 years is 11.1% of your life. But to give you some perspective, the average lifespan of an S&P 500 company is 20 years. The average entrepreneur gives up after 3 years. That's 3.33% of your life, assuming the 90 figure as well. The average person works 30% of their life, and on average, 85% of people hate the work that they do. So these are really alarming stats. And when you look at these numbers, all of a sudden, does 10 years, 11.1% of your life really seem that long? The goal is to do it for an unreasonable amount of time, and that's how you win. And I'm going to give you the systems to be able to do that. When I'm talking about doing it for an unreasonable amount of time, I'm not just talking about you doing it and it's failing, and you're doing it and it's failing, and you're doing it again and the thing's failing. I'm saying that you are mentally setting yourself up for a 10-year goal, and then you deploy 2 main ideas, Ikigai, as well as systems, leverage, and money, to accomplish and be able to do the thing for 10 years. So Ikigai is a Japanese concept that I love, and it's not new. It's obviously not something I made up, but Ikigai is the concept of, I would describe it as the preliminary, rudimentary idea of finding product market fit that extends beyond just the product. So Ikigai is what you're good at, what the market needs, and can you monetize it? And think about a Venn diagram. right? A Venn diagram, you know, those things where you have like a circle and another circle and they intersect and there's a little bit of the circle that overlaps in the middle. Well, what you're good at, what the market needs, and can you make money on it, or what can you be passionate about, those three circles, that creates your Venn diagram, and in the middle, that is a great idea for a business for you to start. Now, because I don't like the concept of passion and just doing something you're passionate about. What if the market doesn't need it? I don't like just doing something that motivates you, because the second shit hits the fan, you're not going to be motivated anymore. So you have to have, again, passion, what you're good at, what the market needs. That's Ikigai. The second piece that allows you to do something for 10 years, again, you're thinking, how do I accomplish this for 10 years? It means that you're not just quitting your job and going all in and hoping on a wish and a prayer that it works out. You're not quitting your job with 6 months runway and trying to figure out how to completely replace your income when you have mortgage and you have food to pay, or you have rent, or you have family. You are building systems that allow you to continue this thing for a period of time. It could be you're building it from 9 to 5, or you're building it from 5 to 9 when you're still working your 9 to 5. You are leveraging, you could be leveraging resources, tech, outsourced talent, and then also money. This is the big piece. This is the reason why most businesses fail. If you don't figure out your money, if you don't get your money right, the business is not going to succeed. So how do you figure out how to build systems, leverage, and financially secure yourself so you can do the thing for 10 years? Again, this is still very much mindset, right? This is still very mindset, thinking 10 years out. So if I look back at all the companies on here, all the huge companies that I've had a chance to interview, some of their CEOs and presidents, all the companies that went through all these incubators and all of this, and the companies that I actually took part in, and I saw these exits and I saw these companies go from nothing to being acquired. 12 years, 11 years, way more than 10 years, and all the companies that were part of these incubators, they're probably going on 5 or 6 years now, and they haven't given up. And the ones that have given, and you don't know the names of a lot of these companies yet, but you will eventually. So the goal is, again, systems, processes, finance, figure it out so you can last for 10 years. That's a very important mindset shift when you're building a business. I hate this instant satisfaction environment. Society pushes instant everything, instant Amazon, instant Uber, instant, right? And I think that that's probably one of the main reasons why we get so frustrated when we're building, because we see on social, it seems like people figured it out in a year or 6 months or 2 years. Commit 10 years of your life to building the thing. Now, again, I said that you want to commit 10 years of your life to building the thing. You want to set yourself up so you can maintain that. But you don't just want to do it and have no guide on how to do it properly. This is where reverse engineering success comes in. This is, so Benny told me, he's like, Scott, I want you to do slight motivation, slight mindset, maybe some value add as well. This is the value add piece. This is the piece that actually gives you the tactics. It's a mindset piece, but it also gives you the tactics that you can deploy to reverse engineer success that gives you the starting point on what you're going to build. It gives you a great starting thesis. So let me go into it a little bit deeper. This is a great quote. I love it. Successful entrepreneurs excel at something else, pattern recognition. They can identify the steps that others have taken to achieve success and then reverse engineer those steps to create their own path. It's a phenomenal quote, because this resonates with me so deeply. So what do I reverse engineer? Well, fundraising, TTM. Who knows what TTM is? Who knows what TTM? If no one knows what TTM is, it's take to market strategy. PMF, who knows what PMF is? Yes, someone said product market fit. If you don't know what TTM and PMF are, you have to start listening to people who are building businesses who are not on Instagram, because these are real things that you have to figure out. And as much as I love the person who I will not name, who creates a whole bunch of incredible entrepreneurs that all have funnels, you have to understand the core components of a business. Take to market strategy, product market fit is very important. You all know what marketing and sales is, and I also reverse engineer everything. So let's go into some examples, very tangible examples. When I'm talking about reverse engineering success, I'm looking, when I'm starting to build my thing, at the best who have ever done it, and I'm seeing what's worked for them because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let's start with fundraising. If I want to raise money for my company, what do we all do? We all email 1,000 VCs, probably. That's where we start. Or if that would be a good first step, what we actually probably do is just bug our richest friends to raise money. But what we should be doing is looking at other companies. For example, this is screenshots of Crunchbase. You'll see Olipop. It's a massive CPG brand. If I want to reverse engineer fundraising success for my company, pick an industry, pick a category. What I'm doing is I'm looking at a company that has raised money at the same level as me, as to where I'm at right now. So if I'm going to walk you through this, Olipop, I'm looking at a pre-seed round for Olipop, and I see that Finn Capital Partners invested a pre-seed round for Olipop. Now, if I have a CPG company or a drink, consumer packaged goods is CPG, if I have a drink and I want to take this to market and I want to raise money, why would I be spraying and praying and throwing shit on the wall hoping something sticks with a whole bunch of VCs that invest in tech and AI and machine learning and are socially responsible VCs? Why would I not go to somebody who has invested the same amount of money I need in a similar type of company in the same industry or category? So it doesn't take rocket science to do this, but the signals of what you should do are out there. So if you are raising money, very practical, go to Crunchbase, go figure out another company in your category that is obviously far beyond, look at the amount that you want to raise, go to that level, pre-seed, seed, Series A, whatever, and start reaching out to these VCs. Your hit rate's going to be much higher because your company fits into their investing thesis. That's one example of reverse engineering success. Take to market strategy. Take to market strategy, I reverse engineer because a lot of people blow a ton of money on take to market strategy. And again, keep in mind, all of these tactical items are meant so that you can do this for a long period of time because you increase the chance of you winning right out of the gate. Take to market strategy, product market fit, okay? So if I want to build a company, and these are tech companies, I get that, but if I want to build a company, I should still look at, for example, a service industry, a consultant. How did they take their company to market? How did they get their first 50 customers? How did they position themselves? Who did they target? Buffer is a great example of a software company that took their product to market effectively and cheaply. So when you build a software company, what usually happens as a non-technical co-founder, you hire a dev shop, you hire somebody that can build it out for you, and the dev shop you hope is good, but what can happen is you have a dev shop that charges you $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million, and then all of a sudden you have this like kind of janky product that doesn't work too well, and you're out $1.5 million of maybe your own money, maybe your uncle's money, and you're kind of SOL. Buffer knew this, and if you don't know what Buffer is like the OG social media scheduling platform where you put a post in, you can schedule it out. Now, they knew it was going to be an expensive product to make. They knew that there was so many different variations of this product, so what did they do? They put a Google form before they wrote a line of code on a website, and they pushed traffic to the website, a few dollars on paid ads. They got people that could be their potential customers in that. This is a fake Google form. This is not the one they used. I couldn't find the one they used, but this is a fake Google form. It's just an image of Google form. You didn't know what it looked like. So they sent traffic to the website. They said, what features would you like? How much are you willing to pay if we do this? And just basically commentary on what pain points are you trying to solve in your business. They captured all this information on the Google form. They built out an MVP internally because they knew the most urgent, important MVP feature set that they should build. And they launched it they grew to 20K monthly recurring revenue before they raised a 400K seed round at a very good valuation. And what also gave them the ability to raise a good valuation is because they had data from people that said, literally, if you build this, I'll pay this. And they took that to VCs. There was already customers that were saying, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly how much I'm going to pay. So I could reverse engineer this, or I could reverse engineer any company's take to market to make sure I'm not blowing money and trying a whole bunch of things that don't work. So figure out what the category leader is and research. And if it's, I don't know what everyone's job is in here, what companies you're trying to build, but there is a category leader, but at some point, they were just starting out. So you have to find a way to research how they built their thing from scratch. And the best part about internet and social is people like to brag. So if you ever go to a founder or a coach or a consultant that you trust, that's very important, Go listen to a podcast about how they started out. They'll tell you exactly how they got their first few customers. So why don't you start there? That's the goal. Start there because you have a playbook that you know kind of works. For marketing and sales, why do people try and figure out their marketing and sales process when they've never done it before? There's so many examples in the market of what you can do. So you recognize some of the things on the left-hand side of this screen. These are some clips, and I'll walk through them in a second. But this guy is my sales example of reverse engineering success. So you can see that I study a lot, and I go deep, and I look at people that have done it before. What this guy is talking about is a TikTok. The TikTok, and I didn't link the TikTok, it doesn't matter, but the TikTok is him talking about he's been selling for probably 20, 30 years, and he talks about his best opening subject line in an email. And what he says it is, and you can all try it because I use it now, he says his best subject line is your first name, your last name, a vertical bar, followed by your cell phone number, and then the words mobile or cell. And he said, that's the best line I've ever used across my entire career to get somebody to open an email. I tried it, 30% open rate, which is phenomenal compared to what a lot of other garbage subject lines give. Why not use what already works? He's told me, I try it, it works, that now I can iterate from that, but why would I go through 50 different versions of subject lines when I know a guy's been doing it for 30 years, just told me what gets him a 30% open rate, I emulated it and it did it. If I look at my first version of content when I'm trying to post stuff, we're all trying to build a brand. We're all trying to do our own thing. We're all trying to be unique, authentic, great, cool. But you know what already works? Gary Vee knows how to do Instagram. That's Rich Roll. He does great podcast clips for like a more serious podcast. That's The Hustle, one of the fastest growing business newsletters. That's Justin Welsh, who built a massive audience, I think about 500,000 followers on LinkedIn. That's Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO, built one of the fastest growing podcasts. And that's Sahil Bloom, one of the fastest growing Twitter accounts. So you're not copying, but you're studying the shit out of every single one of these people, and you are seeing how content works on different platforms, and your first version of the content, not forever version, but the first version of the content, start to learn what these people do. So I would start, if you take a look at my Instagram, I've started putting quotes out like that, like Gary Vee, but then I change them into something that works for me, and then I test them, and do I want still image, or do I want to do a 5-second video that loops and put an image as a reel? For Diary of a CEO, I'm studying what does his intro look like in his podcast? What does his thumbnail look like? And I'm going to start with that and then iterate from there. So, I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And we all want to say that we're so good at what we do and we're so unique. Just start with something that's proven and then go from there. Again, it just removes the chance of you failing out of the gate, or at least feeling like you're failing out of the gate, which is really all that it is. It shortens the amount of time it takes you to get to wherever you want to go, your first 50 followers, your first 50 customers. So reverse engineer success across everything. And I study nonstop. If I want to create a podcast, I know that Stephen Bartlett goes up on Facebook and runs ads to 15 different thumbnails per podcast, and then he picks the winner and he puts it on YouTube. I know that. And I know all the different variations that he tries. So just study the people that have already done what you want to do. And lastly, I deploy the reverse engineer mindset in everything I do, in my entire life. So in my marriage, in my relationship, in my health and wellness, if I want to have a good relationship, I'm looking at somebody that's done it. I'm looking at how many date nights they go on. If I want to figure, I don't necessarily want to look like Phil Heath. If I wanted to look like Phil Heath, I'm looking at the split he does, the food he eats. By the way, that is the saddest opening of any movie ever. And if you didn't cry, honestly, we can't be friends. That is a very, very sad opening. But the point is, reverse engineer. This is a concept that you apply to your business. This is a concept that you apply to your life. Why do you have to reinvent the wheel every single time? Now, the third rule is very important. Delusional self-confidence. Why is delusional self-confidence very important? Because without delusional self-confidence, you do not have the audacity to think that you can reverse engineer some other thought leaders' success and execute, and maybe not only get to where they were, but maybe surpass them. you have to have a little bit of delusional self-confidence. You have to have a little bit of delusional self-confidence to make it to 10 years, because statistically, when you start a business, the odds are against you. It's like, it's not a lie that 95+% of businesses fail. What they don't tell you is if you can last for 10 years, there will be a tipping point where the odds flip. Where if you see somebody that is building a thing for 10 years straight and they have not given up, think about not even just sexy businesses like tech or, I don't know, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to build a consumer brand or a coach or a consultant, think about somebody who sells like doors and windows. They've just been doing it for so damn long that they probably make some pretty good money doing it, and they figured out the industry and they're so ingrained in it that it's really hard for them to fail after 10 years. So this is the goal. Find a way, and this is what I'm going to talk about with delusional self-confidence, but find a way to have that confidence so that you can stick with it for 10 years. So I put up some quotes. These are all fun little self-confidence quotes. It doesn't matter. But the point is, they all allude to the same thing. Now, the concept of delusional self-confidence. There's one man, this guy, who I first learned this from. So what this picture is, this is a generative AI picture of Anthony Scaramucci, who was Donald Trump's director of communications for about 12 days. He's also a big finance guy. He's probably worth over 100. I had him on the podcast. And the picture is him in a wife beater in a shitty apartment in New York. Why is there a picture of this here? Because when I had him on the podcast, I asked him, I said, what would be a lesson you would tell your 20-year-old self? And he said, I would tell my 20-year-old self, like, don't worry, you'll figure it out. And I asked him, like, how do you have like that level of confidence to just know that you'd figure it out? Like, how would your 20-year-old self believe you? And he's like, honestly, Scott, if I lost everything, I lost all of my connections, I went back to my shitty apartment with nothing but a wife beater and no money in the middle of New York, that could happen to me again and again and again and again, and I would still make it. I would still make all my money back. And that level of self-confidence is something that I've seen. This was one of the first interviews I had. And that level of self-confidence is something I've seen again and again and again and again from people that have truly made it, people that have built brands that you know, people that have built household names. Now, what I thought to put together was this wonderful formula about success. And you can see that success equals pair over fuck, okay? So success is likelihood of success is passion, experience, adaptability, resourcefulness over fear, unforeseen obstacles, and complacency. All right? Great little formula. Pair over fuck. That's the formula. Now, what does this look like in your business? What does this success formula look like in your business? And why is it so important to have delusional self-confidence? And why is it so important to stick with it for a long time? Because every business in the world looks like this. This is what every business in the world looks like. It's nothing, 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 nothing. Something starts to work, and then it's up and to the right. This is also, ironically, what every pitch deck looks like and what every founder wants a VC to think is going to happen to their business. But the thing is, it will eventually. Now, you're going to say, Scott, well, not every business has that J-curve, hockey stick growth right at the 10-year mark. And I say, you're right. It could be at the 5-year mark, the 10-year mark, or the 15-year mark. It will always feel difficult until it doesn't. And when things start to click, it will start to take off. So how do you have delusional self-confidence to be able to do this for that long before it starts to take off? Because you know what no business ever looks like? This. It never looks like that. Yeah, dude, for sure. Now the clicker's working. Yeah, now I got them back. But success never looks like this. It's never out of the gate working, and it's a steady line right across the top. That's never what success looks like. That's what no business on earth looks like. So, how do you have delusional self-confidence, which gives you the audacity to reverse engineer success, which allows you to stay in the game long enough? This is a bonus round. What you have to do is you have to keep track of your wins. This is the easiest way that I've found to feel like I can stay in the game long enough. I have to track my wins. I have to spend more time on the right side of the board than the left side. Why is it so important to track your wins? Why is tracking your wins the precursor that sort of waterfalls and trickles down to everything else? Because news companies know this. Negativity sticks in your head. Negativity always sticks in your head. This is why the news is what the news is. So when we get fired, when we get dumped, when we get sued, when somebody quits, when we have to fire somebody, that sticks in your head. But you know what doesn't stick in your head? The 1,000 wins that you had that day. And if you actually kept track of the wins that you have every single day, you'd notice that you win hundreds, if not tens of hundreds, if not thousands of times, not every single day, but every single week. So what we have to do is we have to keep track of our wins. That removes the imposter syndrome. That gets rid of the delusional self-confidence. That gives us the audacity to think that we can reverse engineer anyone's success and replicate it for ourselves. And that lets us stay in the game long enough. Because if we don't track our own, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Like, I don't care if you, what is the thing you do? You put all the things you want to do on a Bristol board, vision board or whatever it is. Vision board, you can literally just write down what you succeeded at this week in a Word doc and go through it. I have a friend who literally posts everything on Instagram, and he'll do at the end of the month is he'll just scroll through Instagram and take a look at all the restaurants he went to, all the events, all the trade shows, and it's all wins. Everything's a win. Every deal you sign, every conversation you have that moves your business, even like a little bit forward, is a win. So please track your wins because it gives you the self-confidence to do all the other things. So just to close out, I mean, you can ask a couple questions. I think we have a couple minutes left, but please, please, please find a way to remove the imposter syndrome, because I promise you, I've seen enough case studies across those 702 companies, and that's, by the way, like a lot more that I've studied, looked at, spoken to founders in some capacity. Find a way to have the confidence to have that, just have the ability to reverse engineer, to execute, put energy into that for an unreasonable amount of time, set yourself up to win so that you do not burn out, you do not run out of capital, you do not run out of cash. And at the end of the day, that is how you guarantee success. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. That's my Instagram, yeah. Do you have any questions?
Would you say your first business was?
So, well, I was an employee in tech, and then I moved into a small telco company. I took over sales and marketing leadership. We sold that to private equity. The second business was a broadcast software company called Excitem, and then we sold that 4 years ago to Grass Valley, which is a large broadcast hardware company. So all tech, different versions of tech, mostly SaaS.
What are you doing now?
So now I have my podcast, speak a little bit, but also I'm building out a company called The Social Club, which is a private members community for late stage and exited entrepreneurs. So it's networking. Sorry? It's in person. It's in person, yeah. We do 4 events per year. Bring in, like for example, we'll bring in JP Morgan Private Bank. They'll bring in somebody who brokers mortgages for billionaires, and they'll speak on real estate. And we'll do these little activations, mostly South Florida right now, but we're going to expand. Well,
You said remove imposter syndrome.
yeah.
How do you?
Well, if you track your wins, you are just logicking yourself into understanding that you have accomplished so many things across your life. Why would the next thing not work out? So when you track your wins, like you're tricking your brain into understanding that, not tricking, making your brain realize that you've already won 1,000 times in all the things that you've done. It's really just making sure you're paying attention to the right shit and not the wrong shit. Because what imposter syndrome is it's bringing up all the things that you failed at over your life, and you're saying, why would I ever be able to do the next thing? That's all imposter syndrome is. But if you understand all the times you've won and everything that you've done, you go in with a different mindset because you've realized that you've won, but we don't pay attention to our wins. I can remember the last time I had to fire somebody. I signed a contract for an advertiser literally 2 days ago. It's like already out of my mind. Like that's what's toxic. That's what happens. Everyone's brain reacts the same way. You bring on a psychologist or a biologist, they're going to tell you exactly why that is. Some fight or flight, probably preservation mechanism with one of the reptilian parts of your brain, but it's true. It's really true. So we have to fight against that. When we fight against that, we realize that, you know what, we're not that bad. And then we go in with the energy and the conviction, which gives us a higher chance of success, as opposed to us already self-sabotaging before we start.
And I want to piggyback
It,
this kind of mentioned us asked, which is getting your wins, but like for my circle is, it's like I don't even recognize it is a win. Does that make like?
well, we don't. 100%.
That's where I am just started clicking like it's when you did this, so then you did that, but then imposter syndrome comes in because it's like,
Yeah, I know. But you will, like, for sure, you'll remember if you were ever sued. For sure, you'd be like, that is very traumatic for a lot of entrepreneurs. But how many times have you closed deals? You probably closed, what, 1,000 deals in your lifetime and been sued 1, 2 times, hopefully, not more than that. But I mean, even if not, but why would you look at that ratio? I've closed 1,000 deals and I've been sued once. I've closed 1,000 deals and I've had to fire people 2, 3 times. I'm like, the ratio is absurd. Like, why would you ever default to, sorry?
what is the best way to?
Well, that's where not mentors in a traditional sense, where you're like, because there's different kinds of mentors too, right? And we have to wrap up. But somebody who understands your strengths, your weaknesses, and is more just somebody who could be a friend or a peer and is pointing out. I mean, for me, it's my better half, right? It's Gina. So that to me is very useful because whenever, and I get into ruts all the time, she's like, Scott, like, wake the F up. Like, you realize what you've done over your career. You look at where you were a year ago and where you are now. So if it's not somebody who you are with, which, by the way, partner and who you pick is very important. Like, it's game changing night and day. You have to find somebody who can be your cheerleader, who will like prop you up. And you have to be super, I think the best way to allow them to prop you up is to be super candid about how you feel about yourself, which is a very vulnerable place to be. But I mean, whether or not it's professional or it's just mentor that you found in business, I think that being vulnerable will let that person sort of be a cheerleader for you. No worries.
Hey, give me that.